The planet does not welcome the human body. It never has. Before shelter, before fire, before language-shaped thought, there is exposure. Bare skin meets moving air. Lungs inhale cold that steals warmth with every breath. The sun scorches during the day, then vanishes, taking all stored heat with it. Ancient humans stand fragile within a system ruled by physics, where temperature, wind, and moisture decide who survives the night. The human body operates within a narrow thermal margin. At its core, life depends on maintaining an internal temperature of roughly 37 degrees Celsius. Deviate too far in either direction, and enzymes slow, muscles fail, and consciousness slips away. In cold environments, exposed skin can lose heat at rates exceeding 100 watts per square meter. In strong wind, that loss doubles. Below -10 degrees Celsius, an unprotected human can reach dangerous hypothermia in less than an hour. Cold is not merely low temperature.
How about here?
It is motion.
It feels
It
firm.
is energy escaping faster than the body can replace it. Wind strips away warmth through convection. Dry air accelerates evaporation, pulling heat from moisture on the skin. Snow reflects solar radiation away from the body. The environment works collectively, silently, efficiently. There is no malice, only thermodynamics. In hot environments, the danger reverses but remains just as lethal. Under desert sun, ground temperatures exceed 60 degrees Celsius. Heat radiates upward, cooking the air itself.
Make it smooth.
Sweat evaporates, cooling the body, but only if water is available. Dehydration collapses this system quickly. Night brings no relief, only sudden temperature drops that shock an already stressed metabolism. The human body, evolved for mobility rather than resistance, is exposed on all sides. This vulnerability is the beginning of architecture. Shelter emerges not as comfort, but as necessity, a response to energy loss. The earliest structures are attempts to interrupt the flow of heat, to slow its escape, to create a pocket where survival is mathematically possible.
As you can see,
the physics
warm
is
air
simple,
naturally
though
rises
the
and
understanding
lingers
is
above the stone
intuitive
platform,
rather than formal.
while the cold air
Heat
cools
moves from warm to
harmlessly
cold.
below.
It escapes through conduction, convection, and radiation. Stop one, and survival improves. Stop two, and life becomes sustainable. Ancient humans discover quickly that barriers alone are insufficient. A wall of branches blocks wind, but not cold. Thin hides slow airflow, but allow radiant heat to escape freely into the night sky. What they need is mass, something that absorbs energy, stores it, and releases it slowly. They find it beneath their feet. Earth is a thermal reservoir. Soil has high heat capacity and low thermal conductivity. Just 1 meter below the surface, temperature remains relatively stable year-round, often close to the annual average of the region, around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius in many temperate zones. This stability is transformative. By digging into hillsides, riverbanks, and plains, humans step out of the violent fluctuations of surface weather and into a quieter thermal world. Underground, the wind cannot reach. Radiant heat has nowhere to escape. Temperature swings flatten. A shelter half buried in earth can reduce heat loss by more than 60% compared to surface exposure. Caves offer the first proof. They are naturally insulated chambers, cool in summer, warm in winter. But caves are rare, often damp, sometimes dangerous. So humans replicate them. Pits are excavated. Walls are reinforced with stone or packed clay. Roofs are framed with wood, bone, and sinew, then layered with sod. Grass roots knit the soil together, creating dense insulation. A roof 30 centimeters thick dramatically reduces conductive heat loss. A roof 1 meter thick turns the shelter into a thermal vault. The entrance becomes the weakest point. Heat escapes upward. Cold air sinks inward. To counter this, entrances are lowered, forcing occupants to crawl. Dignity is sacrificed for survival. Cold air pools near the ground, while warm air remains trapped above sleeping platforms. Architecture begins shaping behavior. In Arctic regions, even Earth is unavailable. Here, snow becomes structure. Snow is not cold by nature, it is insulative. Fresh snow traps air within crystalline lattices, creating millions of microscopic pockets that resist heat flow. Compacted snow blocks, cut precisely, lock together into domes that distribute stress evenly. Inside a snow shelter, interior temperatures can remain above 0 degrees Celsius even when outside air falls below -40 degrees Celsius. A single human body radiates roughly 100 watts of heat. Trapped, recycled, and protected from wind, that energy becomes enough. In deserts, the logic reverses. Heat must be delayed, not retained. Thick stone or adobe walls absorb solar radiation during the day, preventing it from reaching the interior. By the time the heat migrates inward, often delayed by 8 to 12 hours, night has fallen. Cooler air pulls the stored energy back out. Buildings are oriented carefully.
Keep your body low,
Narrow
like I showed
windows
you.
face away from the sun.
Warm air spilling out.
Overhangs cast shadows.
Move careful and quiet
Courtyards
now.
funnel wind. Some dwellings are carved directly into rock faces, where thermal mass dampens extremes. Earth sheltering becomes protection from heat rather than cold. Across continents, without communication, humans converge on similar solutions. Reduce surface area. Increase mass. Control airflow. Align with terrain. Stay close to the ground. These shelters are not homes in the modern sense. They are life support systems. Inside them, families cluster together. Infants sleep between adults. Elders remain closest to the fire. The most vulnerable dictate design. A shelter that protects the weakest
patterns.
ensures the survival of the group.
Right here.
Every
This
wall,
is where we build
every
the entrance.
angle, every
Right.
layer is shaped by loss. Loss of heat, loss of energy, loss of life remembered. Knowledge is encoded not in diagrams, but in habit. The earth becomes an ally. Not conquered, not mastered, but borrowed. This is the foundation of survival engineering. Not civilization, not comfort, but the first moment humans learn to slow the universe's pull toward cold. And in that resistance, they endure. Fire is more than warmth. It is life made visible, energy transformed, and survival quantified. In the bitter depths of winter or the long desert nights, fire is the pulse of the home. Its glow is not decoration, it is calculation, carefully balanced against the cold, wind, and scarcity of fuel. A single log contains energy on the order of 15 megajoules per kilogram. That energy can raise water to boiling, heat a room, or sustain a body through the night, but only if it is managed. Too much oxygen, and the fire roars, wasting precious heat up the chimney. Too little, and the flame dies, leaving smoke to fill the shelter and warmth to vanish. Control becomes instinct. Observation becomes knowledge. Stone hearths reflect radiant heat inward. The walls, packed with clay or lined with stones, act as secondary radiators, absorbing energy from the fire and releasing it slowly. Elevated fire platforms improve airflow, creating a draft that pulls oxygen into the flame while venting smoke. Even the angle of a chimney is critical. A difference of just 15 degrees can reduce smoke accumulation dramatically. Ancient humans, without formal physics, intuitively engineered these systems through trial, error, and memory. Fuel is life measured in days. Every log, every piece of dried brush, represents hours of labor, kilocalories preserved in solid form. Wood must be seasoned to reduce moisture content. Wet wood releases its energy first into evaporating water rather than heat. A log at 20% moisture content yields almost half the usable energy of a dried log at 10%. This understanding governs daily routines.
Good boy.
Felling, splitting,
Nice and warm now.
stacking,
Here,
and
try
storing
this wheat.
fuel becomes a central occupation. Piles are raised to prevent rot, layered for airflow, and organized for rapid access in storms. In treeless or harsh environments, humans innovate. Dried
This stone
animal
baffle
dung
design
burns
prevents
slowly,
backdraft.
steadily,
The steady
producing
flow of
both
smoke
heat
confirms
and
the
light.
engineered
Heat,
airflow is working
compressed plant
precisely as
matter,
intended.
becomes a dense energy source. Animal fat, collected and purified, fuels lamps and hearths. Fire is no longer a luxury, it is a managed energy system. Animals themselves are part of this thermal logic. Housed beneath or adjacent to human quarters, they contribute warmth. A cow or horse radiates roughly 1,000 watts of heat. In small shelters, that energy is significant, supplementing fire. Herding practices are informed as much by thermodynamics as by grazing needs. Sleeping alongside animals, humans trade smell for heat, a conscious compromise dictated by survival. Ventilation is a delicate equation. Air is both friend and enemy. Without oxygen, fire dies. Without exhaust, smoke and carbon monoxide accumulate. Ancient builders shape vents to optimize draft. Wind-driven openings are shielded. Smoke rises through narrow chimneys. Entrances function as airlocks. Cold air sinks into peripheral pits, while warm air circulates above living and sleeping platforms. Every cubic meter of air is managed. Daily life is organized around energy efficiency. Physical labor occurs during daylight hours when ambient temperatures are higher. Nights are for conserving heat, bodies cluster, raising collective warmth. Sleeping platforms are raised above coal floors, insulated with furs and layers of plant matter. Air pockets trapped in textiles reduce conductive heat loss. Clothing functions as portable insulation, just as vital as the architecture around it. Food is fuel. In cold climates, diets
The
are
densest
optimized for
insulation must face
thermogenesis.
outward.
Fat,
These layers trap
containing
still
9
air,
kilocalories
creating
per
an
gram,
impenetrable
is
shelter wall
prioritized.
against the cold.
High-fat meals consumed before sleep maintain metabolic heat overnight. Protein and carbohydrates complement fat, providing sustained energy and repair for tissues stressed by cold. Cooking methods are optimized for both nutrition and energy efficiency. Stews combine ingredients in a single vessel, reducing fuel consumption while warming multiple occupants simultaneously. Pot placement and fire intensity are meticulously managed. Water and food are heated once, retained, and reused to preserve energy. Preservation strategies are critical. Meat and fish are frozen, dried, or smoked. Underground caches maintain stable temperatures, preventing freezing yet slowing decay. Roots are stored in insulated pits or cellars. Salt, when available, becomes a strategic tool for both preservation and trade. Each preserved calorie is a stored heartbeat, a survival unit reserved for storm or famine. Water management reflects a deep understanding of energy costs. Melting snow consumes approximately 334 kilojoules per kilogram, the energy required to convert ice into water. Fires are built not just for heat, but to sustain hydration. Ice stored indoors melts gradually, providing a steady water supply while minimizing wasted energy. Containers are insulated with moss, animal skins, or woven fibers, slowing heat transfer and conserving precious calories. Waste is rarely wasted. Ash, rich in mineral content, is used to insulate cracks, deter pests, or treat hides. Bones are burned for marrow and for fuel. Nothing with caloric or structural value is discarded. Every resource is part of a continuous energy economy. Clothing systems mirror architectural design. Layers trap air, seams are minimized, and animal hides are oriented to maximize insulation. Snow goggles
Testing the
carved from
mechanism
bone reduce
repeatedly
radiant
ensures
heat loss
future
around the
calories
eyes,
without
preventing
wasted hunts.
frostbite. Fur-lined boots protect feet, which lose heat faster than any other extremity. Gloves, mittens, and layered garments create a microclimate for hands, critical for maintaining dexterity. Every item is a calculated response to environmental physics. Life inside these systems is disciplined. Fire is checked multiple times a night. Someone is always awake. A dying hearth can mean death before dawn.
Tucking the hides tightly
Responsibilities
ensures
rotate.
the heat is trapped,
Knowledge is oral,
preserving the meal
immediate,
inside and
precise,
maximizing the
and
fuel's
unforgiving.
value.
Survival is communal, not individual. Homes are not passive. They are integrated survival engines. Thermal mass, controlled ventilation, fuel management, and human behavior form variables in a continuous system. Every decision, where to place a log, how to pile moss, when to cook, how to orient a shelter, affects the outcome of life versus death. In the depth of winter, when storms erase horizons and darkness stretches to 18 hours a day, these systems hold the line. They do not vanquish the cold. They manage it, delay it, bend it to human use. Humans learn the rhythms of fire, how it builds, stabilizes, and fades, how to convert one resource into warmth, sustenance, and light. Each household becomes a microcosm of energy engineering, a living laboratory of physics, chemistry, and biology. Through observation and repetition, knowledge accumulates. How much wood sustains a night? How far from the hearth should infants sleep? How thick must the walls of ice or sod be to maintain 0 degrees Celsius inside? These are practical, measurable truths embedded into ritual,
They absorb
habit,
the
and
heat
memory.
all day,
Energy
releasing
management
it slowly
becomes culture.
to keep the dwelling
The
warm
hearth becomes
through the night.
heart. And when the storms pass, when the sun returns to the horizon, this precise choreography of survival systems carries life into the next season. Every fire kept alive, every calorie stored, every animal body positioned for maximum warmth. These are the engineered triumphs that allow humans to endure extremes that would otherwise be fatal. The ancient home is no longer merely shelter. It is a machine, a
Massive
carefully
walls,
calibrated system
layered
balancing
insulation,
heat,
and
food,
these fuel
air,
stores
and
work
human
in
labor.
unison to create
It
a
transforms scarce
self-sustaining
resources into survivable conditions. It converts chaos into order. It converts vulnerability into endurance. Survival is more than physics, more than calories, warmth, or shelter. It is a negotiation with time, with isolation, and with the mind itself.
And so the spirit of
Winter
the fire
stretches
taught us
long,
to read
the
the
world
signs
beyond
hidden in
walls and
smoke
earthen
and
roofs
ash.
frozen, dark, and inhospitable.
Breath and
Days
smoke
shrink,
ascend
night
as one.
expands. Wind becomes a presence,
The ritual
constant,
ends when the day
pressing,
is done.
inescapable. In these moments, the human body is only half the equation. The mind is the battlefield. Weeks and months pass with
All right,
little
let's
daylight.
adjust the airflow
The
here.
horizon
Keep the
disappears
intake
beneath
vents
snow
halfway
or
closed for
sand.
now.
Anxiety
We need to conserve
rises
fuel.
like frost creeping along a cave wall. Ancient humans learned that endurance is not merely physical, it is psychological. The mind must be engineered as carefully as the heart. Rituals, storytelling, and routine become survival mechanisms. Repetition structures time. Songs and myths compress chaos into narrative. They explain the cold as a force that can be understood, anticipated, and, in some measure, outlasted. Fire is treated as sacred, not out of superstition, but reverence for the energy it supplies and the life it sustains. It is a beating heart within stone and sod, a source of continuity amid endless darkness. Social structure adapts. Roles become precise, defined by necessity rather than ceremony. Someone must tend the fire continuously. Someone must monitor children and elders. Someone must risk venturing outside for fuel, water, or gain. Decisions are weighted by consequence. Conflict is a luxury the confined cannot afford. Cooperation is survival. Every member of the group is a node in a living system, and failure in one part imperils the whole.
Herd moves here at
Leadership,
dawn.
then, is
We circle
functional.
wide.
Authority
Yes.
is earned by skill,
Push them towards the
knowledge,
river
and the
crossing.
ability
Cut
to
'em off
predict
there.
environmental fluctuations.
Tap
It is
it lightly
not
to check
desire,
the density,
it is necessity.
then place the heavier
Children
ones
are
at the
born
bottom
into
of the
this
pile.
ecosystem of survival. From the moment they can observe, they are apprentices in thermodynamics, nutrition, and human logistics. They learn to read the wind through
fire
subtle
keeps
clues,
the heat of the
smell
day
of
at bay,
approaching storm,
while the
texture
stars
of
guide
snow,
their
the
timeless
sound of
rituals
shifting
in the cool
branches.
night air.
They watch the layering of
We
hides,
guide the wind through these
placement of
channels,
logs,
feel
the
the
construction
thickness
of
of the walls that
insulation.
keep the heat out.
Mistakes are
And the
remembered
screens
because
must be
error
placed
carries
seasonally,
immediate
just so.
cost. Knowledge is transferred orally, experientially, and meticulously. There are no manuals. There are no shortcuts. Only practice, observation, and memory. Winter isolation also fosters reflection. It allows humans to see patterns in cycles, the slow accumulation of ice, the subtle signs of animal behavior, the recurring shifts of the sun along the horizon. Tools are repaired, clothing mended, traps reset. Energy is budgeted not only for immediate survival, but for
The
preparation
thin
for the spring.
sunlight offers a brief
Every action
respite,
is
drawing
anticipatory.
moisture out.
Winter is not a season,
But the
it is a
exposure
challenge, a prolonged test of foresight, ingenuity, and endurance. Life is measured in days survived, calories stored, and energy conserved. Spiritual beliefs intertwine with practical knowledge. The environment, harsh and indifferent, is
Your food is preserved
anthropomorphized.
immediately.
Winter
Meat
is a
cut,
spirit,
smoked, dried,
a being
because
to
memory
respect,
teaches that spring
anticipate,
abundance must
and
become
appease.
future winter survival.
Rituals mark the
This
passage
insulation
of time.
keeps the heat in,
Solstices,
but it has to be
new
perfectly
moons,
sealed.
first
Exactly.
snowfalls.
Otherwise, the vent
They are
tuning
not
won't matter if the
superfluous.
warm air
They
escapes
encode
here.
survival strategies. Solstice ceremonies align with the longest night, reminding the community that darkness will pass. Offerings, chants, and dances are simultaneously psychological anchors and communal reinforcement. They preserve cohesion, focus attention,
As the extreme
and
heat
structure
returns,
otherwise
the
oppressive
cycle of
monotony.
maintenance repeats.
Preparation for spring
Structures
is
are
meticulous.
repaired, walls
Snowmelt
smoothed.
is harvested to sustain the first thaw. Underground caches are checked, organized, and repaired. Clothing and bedding are aired
The light
and mended.
lasts longer
Tools
now.
sharpened.
Remember that
Hunting
survival
strategies
is the
rehearsed
cycle we have
mentally,
endured
mapped
before,
against
and
known
we will
migration
endure
patterns.
again.
Communities who survive winters do so because they do not merely react. They anticipate, plan, and store knowledge in both material and social
The
form.
entrance traps
Winter
the
is a
warmth, yes,
laboratory in
but the
which both
sleeping
human
platform
ingenuity and
ensures we
cooperation
stay
are
above the
tested.
cold air
These
that
systems
so-
of survival are encoded in culture. Food preservation, water management, fuel allocation, and ventilation become rituals, habits, and tacit knowledge. Observation is formalized into tradition. Structures are repaired, rebuilt, and sometimes expanded, not for aesthetics but for function. Each architectural innovation, each improvement in clothing, each adjustment in hearth design is remembered and passed forward. Knowledge transfer is survival transfer. The cycle of winter and
We
spring is
prioritize
also a
airflow
cycle
and
of
terrain
education,
alignment, utilizing
innovation,
the
and
Earth's
legacy.
mass.
Modern
spot meets
humans,
all principles.
insulated by technology,
The old
often
shelter's
forget
roof
the cost of
sags
survival.
slightly as
Ancient
seasons
builders did
change.
not.
The earth
Every log
slowly
cut,
reclaiming
every
its
pit dug,
form.
every
Different
fur layered
hands,
against skin
different
was weighed
materials,
against potential
yet the
mortality.
same fundamental
Fire was
physics
sacred
govern
because it
their
was
survival.
life quantified. Water was precious because every phase change required energy. Heat was conserved not as comfort but as survival. These are lessons embedded in culture, often invisible yet profound. The legacy of these ancient systems resonates in modern architecture and survival
These are
practices.
the rules. Conserve
Earth-sheltered
heat,
homes,
store food,
passive
respect
solar
the wind,
design,
and anticipate
thermal
the
mass
cycles.
principles,
This knowledge
ventilation
will keep you
control,
alive.
layered insulation. These are not new ideas, but echoes of strategies developed over millennia. Knowledge once encoded in earthen walls and hearths persists in science and engineering, refined but fundamentally similar. Modern buildings and heating systems are descendants of shelters that once shielded humans from annihilation. But the most profound legacy is philosophical. Survival is engineering, yes, but it is also humility. Humanity's greatest achievement in extreme environments was not domination, but negotiation.
The sun
Humans
returns
listened to
higher
wind,
on the horizon,
observed snow,
spreading
measured
light
fire,
across the
and
snow
counted
and
energy.
soil.
They realized that success required adaptation, collaboration, and foresight. Winter was not defeated, it was endured. Desert heat was not conquered, it was anticipated. Life persisted because humans treated their environment not as an obstacle, but as a system to
I'm
understand.
just brushing away
In
this
the
surface
intimacy
layer
of
here.
firelight,
Now feel the
communities
difference.
learned the fundamental
The deeper
truth.
soil stays
Survival
insulated.
is never solitary.
Look, even the main beams are
Knowledge
starting
is
to
communal.
sink now.
Heat is communal. Story is communal. Every meal prepared, every log added to the hearth,
The community
every
moves
animal housed
forward
beneath the
carrying
floor
tools
is an
and
act
furs,
of interdependence.
but more importantly,
These
carrying
lessons
memory.
are timeless.
Where to dig,
Winter eventually ends. The sun returns to the horizon. Ice melts. Life, fragile but resilient, emerges into spring. Structures are reinforced. Food caches replenished. Clothing stored. Knowledge embedded once more, ready for the next cycle. The rhythm of survival repeats, continuous and unbroken. The walls of shelters, now softened by time or collapsed into soil, are not the measure of endurance. The measure is the system of understanding, the interplay of physics, biology, and human behavior encoded in practice. Ancient humans engineered more than shelters. They engineered life itself at its most vulnerable and essential. The heartbeat of fire, the insulation of earth, the layering of furs,
The sun
careful
returns
rationing
higher
of food
on
and
the
water,
horizon,
they all speak to
spreading
a
light
simple,
across the
profound
snow and
truth.
soil.
Humans endure not through dominance over nature, but through integration with it. Through observation, calculation, repetition, and memory, life continues against the extremes. Humanity becomes both apprentice and partner to environmental forces, translating danger into systems.
I'm just brushing away
chaos
this
into
surface
ritual,
layer here.
vulnerability
Now feel
into
the difference.
endurance.
The
And
deeper
as we,
soil
modern
stays
humans,
insulated.
look back across
Look,
millennia,
even the main
lesson
beams are
is
starting
clear.
to sink now.
Technology may change, fuel sources may shift, Homes may rise taller and walls may be thicker, but the
The
principles
community
remain.
moves forward,
Shelter
carrying
is
tools
protection,
and furs, but
fire
more
is life,
importantly,
energy
carrying
is
memory.
currency,
Where to
knowledge
dig.
is survival. To endure, humans must listen, measure, adapt, and plan. Ancient humans did not conquer nature. They conversed with it. They learned its rhythms, its limits, its cycles. They measured risk in calories, heat, and time. They built systems that converted fragility into resilience. And in that listening, that careful negotiation, that engineering of the human condition, they left a legacy that endures far beyond the walls of earth, stone, or snow. They endured, and in enduring, they taught all who came after what it means to survive.